So thank you, Eric, and good morning, everyone. In September 2006, the ZEP issued a first strategic deployment document, and the goal at the time was really to provide a vision and a strategy for CCS deployment. Well, today, two major goals included in that strategic document have been achieved. The first one is that we have funding tools now defined to kickstart CCS here in Europe. And the second goal is that we have a base for a regulatory framework with the CO2 storage directive that was issued by the Commission. So we thought now, 4 years later, it's time to issue an update of the strategic deployment document. And the goal really now is to accelerate the deployment. So we have structured that document around three main chapters. The first one is about really what is needed right now, today, to achieve successfully the demonstration program. And I'm going to outline the main content of that chapter. A second chapter we have in that document is about the priorities to maintain the momentum that we have created and that we are going to create with the demonstration program. And Niels Peter, after me, is going to show you some main elements of that chapter. And then the last piece of the document is about building the support. It's about communication on CCS. And Klaus is going to highlight the contents of that part. We started the revision work in June, really accelerated through the summer as we were seeing this deadline of the General Assembly of today really approaching fast. And today you have that document, it's on your chair. And I would like really to thank all of you, because many of you have participated into that great collaborative work of the ZEP. Now let's move into the content of that first part. I'm going to give you just an update of where we are with the pilot and demonstrations here in Europe. Look at the key issues that we are facing today, and they are mainly about regulation and funding. Also, just a quick update on knowledge sharing and repeat our view, the ZEP view on knowledge sharing. And then finally, we will conclude with one slide on the European Industrial Initiative that is really welcome today to support the global effort moving forward. About pilots, this gives you a view of what we have today in terms of operating CCS pilots in Europe, and also the planned ones. It's 26 pilots, a significant commitment from the industry, out of which 16 are already in operating condition, and another 10 are in planning and construction. So a global effort aiming at demonstrating several technologies. So you have post-combustion, oxy-combustion pilots. You also have a pure storage experiment in saline aquifer, in depleted gas reservoir. So this gives really the confidence for the industry that we are now able to move forward to the next step. In terms of financial commitment, that's about rough calculation. We did 800 million already committed, a large part of that funded by the industry. And it's fair to say today that in Europe alone, the industry has committed already over 1 billion euro to CCS. Now, moving to the next step, you see here a picture of, and it's not an exhaustive list again, we don't know, but those are the projects that could move forward to the large-scale CCS demonstration. We already have 6 projects selected in the frame of the first funding, which is the European Energy Programme for Recovery. And you see the red balls are those 6 selected projects. And they already would give a nice portfolio, because we have 2 Oxy projects, 3 post-combustion, 1 IGCC. They're going to demonstrate storage in saline aquifer, in depleted gas reservoir, offshore and onshore. So already a good 6 portfolio base. And we have up to 20 projects that could compete for the next round of funding, the NER 300. So I think we really have there a good base to fill the gaps described in our technology block document, which we have issued in 2008. Now, we are not there yet, and I think there are quite some issues facing those projects. The 4 main issues we have already outlined at our last General Assembly. Now, we've had presentation from the 6 current projects in development, and when we do the hit parade of the key issues they face, coming out first today is really legislation and permitting. A close second is the funding. The third is public acceptance, certainly for the onshore storage projects. And then a fourth one is about the technology. Of course, there are still questions, but the industry is fully confident they can solve them. So nobody is losing sleep on technology, really. So what I want to do is address the 2 most burning issues, legislation, permitting, and funding. The SDD, that chapter that we have, the first chapter, is really about providing recommendation to solve those problems. Looking at permitting, we see here the 2015 deadline to be operating with large-scale projects. Now, going back 3 years, it would give 2012 for a final investment decision. Now, 3 years to build such first-of-their-kind project is really stretching the system to the limits. So we need a final investment decision in 2012, and to do that in a safe way, we would need to have the permitting in hand by 2012. Now, if you look at the work we need to complete between now and 2012 to have that permitting, it's really quite critical. We need to validate the storage areas. We need to secure the pipelines to bring the CO2 to those storage areas and have those permits. And today we don't even have the translation of the CO2 directive in the different member states. So after that translation, we would have the permitting rules. So it's a lot to do in just a few months until 2012. So it's really the top-ranking concern today for the industry. A second one is about quantifying the CO2 price risk. If we would have the wrong provisions for those risks, I think that we could run a risk to have nobody wanting to be a storage operator. So we have to be very attentive as to how those risks are going to be quantified. The European Commission is about to issue a guidance document for translating the CO2 directive. I think the ZEP has made very constructive comments on that document. So it's really time that this document comes out, taking on board the ZEP recommendations. The second headache is the funding, closing the funding gap. The CO2 additionality of the projects, we know it's about 1 billion per project. EU will fund up to 50%. What we have already secured is 1 billion from the EEPR funding scheme and maybe 3 to 4 from NER 300. That's a maximum of 5, enough to fund half of 10 large-scale projects here in Europe. So that's the good news. It's already there. The industry has committed also to take their share of the funding coverage. First of all, the industry will cover the industrial risk, and that could be very significant on those projects. There is a big unknown when you do a first of its kind project, so that's covered by the industry. Then eventually the boards may decide on some equity money in the projects. But let's face it, we are through a crisis today. and we still don't have a business model for CCS. So it's quite hard for the industry to commit for more money. So the member state participation will be crucial to close the funding gap of those projects. And this can come through direct state aid or EU structural or cohesion funds. The issue is, again, the time to put those funding mechanisms in place at member state level. Now, for the second tranche of the NER 300, as ZEP, we also support that we increase the portfolio of technologies. I think CCS with biomass co-firing is certainly something we ought to test to demonstrate negative CO2 emissions. CCS on gas also should be part of the second call for the funding. And last but not least, we really look for some flexibility in that funding, and we await with great impatience the details of the call of the NER 300. Moving now to another immediate pillar, this is knowledge sharing. I think the industry really and the ZEP has made a very comprehensive proposal with the knowledge sharing document that we issued a year ago. We truly believe that in exchange for important funding that we are going to receive to kickstart CCS, we have to redeem information, and that will allow for a faster deployment of the technology in an informed market. This is something we fully understand, this gain in time and momentum in exchange for the public funding. At the same time, we think we can do that while protecting the intellectual property. And our proposal, I think, was very, very clear about that. And that could ensure a second goal, is that the deployment comes with additional jobs in Europe and will also encourage further R&D and continued progress in Europe. So we certainly urge the Commission to take into account the ZEP recommendations and have this knowledge sharing organized while respecting the intellectual property. We also have this network of projects, which is extremely useful to share information between the projects, and the ZEP was really the initial forum for knowledge exchange and is looking forward to participate strongly and play a role in fostering knowledge sharing across Europe and across projects. Now, the last piece is the CCS European initiative. In November 2007, the European Commission Strategic Energy Technology Plan, the SET plan, has announced 6 such European industrial initiatives, which are really public-private partnerships. And CCS is one of them that was launched in June this year in Madrid. The strategic objective of such European industrial initiative is really the commercial deployment of CCS by 2020. That's the first objective. The second one is to continue to develop the technology and make sure we can apply it to all carbon-intensive sectors. So the SET plan really recognized that you need a coordinated effort to achieve that between the industry, the research institute, the Commission, the financial community, and I think of the European Investment Bank that is going to play a critical role in the funding of the projects, and also NGOs, of course, that play an important role in this initiative as well. So the European Industrial Initiative is really the forum to engage the dialogue with the member states, and we've seen that as a very positive outcome in the first meeting. And the ZEP really intends to continue as a global advisor to provide answers to the issues as they arrive. So I thank you for your attention, and I'm going to give the floor now to Niels Peter, who is going to elaborate on what is needed and the priorities to maintain the momentum in CCS development. Thank you.